Welcome to Dove and Dragon Radio. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. I'm here with special guest author Cate Mckoy. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello.
And you have several books out, about 15, as we were just discussing a few minutes ago. Which was your first and which is your last release?
The very first is the Guarding Light. It's part of the trilogy. So that's the trilogy that started it all. And then my latest books are the ones you see on the wall back here. Mm-hmm. Blackout and Whiteout.
So what led you into the world of being an author?
I've always loved writing ever since I was little. I mean, super little. And what really got me excited about it was, I'll never forget, I was in the 4th grade and we used to have these weekly readers and we would have to read them. Mm-hmm. And then one of the stories in the weekly reader was done by a 4th grader. And I was like, a 4th grader? I was like, wow, if a 4th grader can write, that's what I want to do. And then so I always used to write and everything. And then when I actually start to go to college, my original major was journalism. But then, you know, my mom was like, no one's going to pay a Black woman to write. And, you know, and which I tell my kids never to do, and they don't let someone discourage you. But, you know, I was really young and she did discourage me and I switched my major.
Well, that's pity, but I understand making mom happy.
Yeah.
But
she, you know, I should have realized she just grew up in a different era than us.
Well, that happens. You know, we get our ancestors and they tell us, you know, regardless of age, sex, gender, nationality, whatever, don't do this because someone's not going to pay X amount of money for this to happen.
Exactly.
Well, it's because of the generation they grew up with.
Exactly.
So we're fighting this now and today, and look at you with 15 books out. Imagine what you could have done if you went to journalism. It may not have led it to your books, or it might have.
May have. Yeah. But I think about that, but it's weird. I do think about that all the time. Mm-hmm. It's not like a super regret. It's just, you know, a different road. Took longer.
Well, it's okay, because sometimes the road we take today is the one where we're meant to take anyways.
Right. That's true.
It's not always something that's easy that is going to be right there in front of us.
Yeah. And then because I don't know, I just always loved it. I just loved writing. And then I'm a mother of 5. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a single mom of 5. And so I was always working, you know, after I switched my major and everything, I was just constantly working I've had 2, 3, or 4 jobs ever since I was 18. And so I was always working. And then I had an accident in my mid to late 40s. Mm-hmm. And I broke my leg in 2 places. I sprained both ankles and I tore a ligament. So I had a cast on my right leg from my hip to my ankle. I had a knee brace on my left and both ankles were wrapped, and I was in a wheelchair for almost 3 months. And then after I had 18 months of rehab, physical therapy. But I was so depressed because I had never been home during the day. Mm-hmm. And it was so depressing. And the stuff that passed for daytime television was like, oh my God, you know? So, and then my, you know, I guess I was being a pity party. So my adult daughter, she goes, you know, Mom, she's like, you said you never had time to finish your degree. You never had time to write. Well, guess what? Now you do. And so that's what I did. I said, she's right. I should stop complaining and whining and write.
Exactly. In 2011, I had a medical emergency, ended up being in a wheelchair, unable to communicate at all except for typing.
Wow.
And that led into 2013 of writing my first book, because I was right there with you. Daytime television sucks.
Yes. Oh my God. Same year too. That's my first book was published in 2013. I wrote it in 2012, but it got published in 2013.
That is weird. That we're both have medical issues. Both led to writing, and both got published same year.
That's so cool.
That is fun facts that little tidbits we add in here.
Yeah, I actually on Amazon I got the little bestseller banner for like 3 of my books, the trilogy,
Mhm.
but it was only for hours. Like on the release day of Guarding Light, it made it to 3 in women's fiction, suspense.
Mhm.
It made it to 4, and interracial, it made it to 4.
Mhm.
But it was for like 6 or 7 hours. I said, you know how they take the picture
Yeah.
of their banners and everything,
Mhm.
bestseller banner and everything with their
Mhm.
book and everything. And I says, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then, but I
Then
went
it
back
goes
there,
away.
and yes, because I was literally on the bestsellers list for 8 hours.
I was there for like 6 hours for my French translation of my first book.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was my first book too that was up there. It was 8. It was the trilogy, the
Mhm.
first book, the 1, 2, and 3. They were all up there for 8, 6, and 6
Mhm.
hours on the
Yeah.
day of that they released.
Yeah, so I have the screenshot from Amazon where it was an Amazon bestseller because I took a screenshot because I didn't know how to get the banner on there.
Right.
And everyone got mad because it's not a bestseller. Well, it was when I took the screenshot.
Yes, it was. That's what I wanted to. I wanted to but I was like, oh, I'll just get it later. I'll get, I wasn't thinking about, that
Right.
it's like an ongoing calculation,
Right.
and I didn't think about it, and then it was gone. It's like,
Well,
oh,
first time authors, we're teaching a class now. First time authors, if you get to bestseller, take your screenshot, get your banner right then and there
yes,
because it won't
get
be
it.
there in 8 hours.
Yeah, and I loved it. It was so exciting seeing that little orange banner that said bestseller,
Mhm.
and that little number sign with the 3, and then a number sign with the 4.
Mhm.
It's like, it was nice.
It gets there, and we don't always get it right when it's there, and it's
Yeah.
there for just a blip.
Yeah, the closest that I got to overall bestseller, they only do the top 100 in
Mhm.
bestselling. The closest that I got, like overall on Amazon, was 328.
Yeah, well, that's so good. I mean, considering how many books are on Amazon.
Yeah, well, my first publisher, my first publisher, my book was in like the 2 millionths
Mhm.
overall.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. I mean, the very first publisher I had, it didn't do it well. It sold books. I can actually go to my local Barnes and Nobles here and still get the original copy of the first edition of my first book.
Wow, that's cool.
They have 10 copies in the store. I think less than 10 now, but they have the very first edition of the first cover of the first book that I wrote.
That's cool.
I never got paid from the publisher.
Yeah, I never got. That's what happened. I
Mhm.
signed a 5-year contract, and I was seeing my book everywhere. It was in Barnes and Nobles. It was on Amazon. It was just. I even saw it in eBay. It was in online bookstores and everything.
Mhm.
And then I never got anything, not one penny for that book.
Mhm.
And she was telling me something about rolling threshold, like you have to reach the threshold before you can get a royalty, she was saying. So I sell that many books, but then it rolls.
Mhm.
The threshold moves. And I'm like, that sounds like a scam.
Yeah, it sounds like a scam to me too. As a publisher, I understand royalties. If you don't get the $20 mark thing, you still have like $4 in this section, 3 months or 4 months, whatever you still have $4. So next time you get the royalties, they have $4 plus whatever the next thing is.
Next one is right. Yeah. And see, I didn't understand it at all. And I should have never signed it. And then I said, I want to get out of the contract, but then, you have to pay to terminate the contract early. And so the first year I couldn't afford it. The second year I couldn't afford it. Third year I couldn't afford it. And the fourth year I was like, I'll beg and borrow to get out of this contract. And I did, because I was not going to spend another year with getting absolutely nothing and being like the 2 millionth or 3 millionth overall on Amazon.
No, I understand it perfectly. And I'm sorry that you had that experience with your publisher. That's atrocious. And as a Authors Guild member, I'm like, that should never happen. And you should never have to pay to get out of contract.
Yeah, that they were like production. And I was like, because I said, you're a traditional publisher. I shouldn't, I don't pay, and I didn't pay for any production or anything like that. And but I didn't get any royalties either.
Something
the whole 4 years, I never got one penny.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there because that's another company. I can't go through their books, obviously.
Yeah, I wasn't the only one who reported them to the Better Business Bureau, and so they're defunct now, but they were horrible.
We find publishers that are horrible like that. I mean, you go to certain publishers, an author says, okay, I want to know my book sales. I can get you book sales based on what I have. And if you're in international sales, it takes 3 months for the book sales to come up. Now, if I get paid for international, it takes me 3 months to see the book sales, another 3 months to get paid.
Oh. Yeah, that's how Amazon is. My royalties are like 2 months behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes these companies now, because if you're in a box store, I'm teaching a class again.
I like it.
But it's okay.
Where were you when I was going in 2013?
I didn't know this in 2013. I just learned this in the last couple of years. But if you're selling a book, you have 60 to 90 days to return the book to whatever bookseller they have. So the royalties that an author gets are held for that 90-day period. Well, then they don't send the royalty check to the publisher till after for one pay period. So one pay period is actually 90 days after they get the clear.
Oh, so it's like a business quarter.
Yeah.
Like the quarter. So in the corporate world, they use quarters, and it's 3 months.
Yeah. So and it's rolling every 3 months. So it's not a quarter technically. It's a quarter from when the book's sold. So if it's January, you get in 6 months. If it's February, another 6 months. So it's rolling every 6 months from the other month, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And so I'm a combination of, I'm a hybrid because because of that experience, I was afraid to do publishing with another publisher, but the publisher that I have now, she's really good, but she wanted the type where all my writing, everything that I write goes through her and she publishes, and I was like, can't do that because I'm a screenwriter too. So
yeah, you can't do that.
Can't. I said, you can't do that. I said, why don't we just do the trilogy and that's it? And then I did my other books. I released them indie myself. And then, but I wish I knew whatever it is she did, but she's the one who got me on the bestsellers list up there.
Well, that's a lot of SEO marketing. That's a lot of having a marketing team, having your ARC readers. That's a lot of promotion through podcasts like this. And with you being a screenwriter, you should also have an IMDb where people can find you.
I'm waiting for it to be, because you have to make so much before you can have your IMDb. You have to have made at least a certain amount of dollars. And I'm screenwriter too. I'm also a producer. You do not need to have anything in sales for IMDb to list yourself. The profile, you pay $20 a month, and you mine is
up.
Cloaked. I keep mine cloaked until I get. I'm waiting until I get, paid.
Well, you don't list what you're working on, but you can list your name as a screenwriter.
Okay.
And then be found. Then when you do these podcasts, If you're like me and you list your podcast on IMDb, you get found that way too. It's all about,
Really?
yes. So this podcast, as we're talking, when it airs, will be listed on Author Talk, Dove and Dragon Author Talk via IMDb with the episode number and the air date. And then you can tag yourself in the cast.
Well, I'm gonna uncloak it and do that. I hide mine because I wrote this producer, she found me on LinkedIn, and she just gave me an idea. She goes, "This is my idea. Can you write it?" And then so I wrote the pilot and like 3 other episodes. And then she gave me this idea, but it was so boring. And I got rid of things and I made things. I made it like, you want to watch it. And then I read the pilot and the second episode to my daughter, and she's like, "Wow, that's really good." And I says, "And this doesn't even resemble a little bit of what she gave me." I kept her characters' names and I changed everything. And then she got a call back. She went to HBO, but it was Universal that ended up wanting it.
Okay.
And then they were in the development stage, and then COVID hit.
Of course.
And then after COVID, and and everybody started going out and everything, she contacted me and she's like, they're gonna shelf it because during COVID, there's too many other things like it that came out. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, so you can't list it on your IMDb.
Yeah.
But
honestly.
anything you can list your books on IMDb.
Really?
Yes.
They're this my latest, they're actually, it's a screenplay.
Okay.
It was originally a screenplay. Usually you take a book and you make it you adapt it into a screenplay, but this was a screenplay first.
Yeah.
I wrote it for a contest. And then I got this spread in this UK magazine, and it was like hybrid indie author releases 3 in one day, and that's what it was called, the triple play.
Yeah.
And I released it on New Year's Eve. All 3 of them. It was like all the commercials, the little trailers that I made, it was like 3 screenplays, 3 different genres, and 1 author. It released on one day.
Wow.
And I wanted to do something that no other writer had done. And I'm looking it up, and I said, nope, no one's done it. And so what they were original screenplays that I wrote for contests. Like my horror movie screenplay made the finals. And then I had a horror, a sci-fi, and this is action, thriller, romance.
Yeah.
And so and I just released them all on the same day. And I was driving my family crazy. I was trying to get it done, trying to switch them over. And I said, I'm not going to get done in enough time. I'm not going to get enough. And the same daughter who was telling me to stop being a pity, she's like, but she's really super smart. And she's like, Mom, she's like, if you don't think you're going to finish it in enough time to release them, she goes, make them 2-parter. And that's what I did. And that's how I ended up with Blackout, and then Whiteout, Blackout 2.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So when you have a screenplay author, most screenplay authors are just screenplay authors. They only write screenplays. But when you have one that adapts from books to screenplay, or screenplay to books, which I do both, which is extremely hard to do.
It is. It's a very, and people don't understand that it's an entirely different type of writing.
It is. I mean, you take a book, okay, take Harry Potter, the book, okay, we all know Harry Potter, cut out half of it, take out all the detail, all the fun stuff, and this is a screenplay. This isn't what we see on TV. This is what we're reading as a screenplay.
Right. I love it.
And then you take the screenplay, now you have to put everything back into it.
Back in.
To make a book.
I know, but I love this. And it says based on her, because I wasn't even going to do this. A friend of mine told me to do it, based on her original screenplay.
That is awesome.
And I was like, and she's like, aren't those screenplays? I said, yeah. She goes, well, add that. I said, but they're not made into movies. And she goes, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's a registered screenplay.
Mm-hmm. If it's a registered screenplay and you put it on the book as a registered screenplay, now you can add your WGA number into your copyright. Now, when a producer reads the book, or anyone in the film world reads the book, now they know to look for the screenplay on the WGA register.
Wow, that's clever. I would have never known that. You're good, because the public, because I used to like advertise and market myself as romantic suspense,
Mm-hmm.
and then my the publisher that I have now, she's like, I noticed that all your female characters are Black and all your male main characters are white. And I said, well, you know that old saying, right? What you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my kids are half white. So,
Yeah.
You write what you know, and she goes, well, that's a niche. She goes, that's like a big genre.
Mm-hmm.
And so she added that, she's like interracial author. And
Yeah.
I was like, it never even occurred to me to market it that way.
There's things as an author we think about, and we really don't think about it until someone points it out.
Right. And that's how it was.
Points it out, then go, oh, that works. It's like, okay, I own a publishing house. I have a entrepreneur magazine that we publish.
Mm-hmm.
This book baby that I came up with happened because Damon John from Fubu was doing a thing on LinkedIn where he was doing blogs. Come interview me for a blog. Well, I know nothing about blogging, but I know how to write. So I created an entrepreneur magazine.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I said, I don't know the business side of it. I just write,
Right.
When
I just give props when people give me an idea, and then I run with it.
That's what happened. They're like, how do you get your ideas? And I was like, life, dreams, conversations, like sometimes I'll just be talking with one of my kids or just having a conversation at work, and I don't know where it comes from. It just happens. This idea pops in my head, and I was like, oh my God, that would make a great book.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but all my because usually when people say they're multi-genre, that they mean they write in more than one genre. But for me, multi-genre is in the book, like because I love it. And in the reviews and everything, they're like, I don't even know what to call this. But it was great. It's like, this is the best romantic suspense thriller action. I was like,
well, I have a couple of those that we publish. It's taking 4 or 5 different genres as a publisher. You have five different genres. Where do you put these books?
It's like,
you create a new genre that way.
I don't even know what to call that genre. That's why I always say multi-genre.
Yeah.
Multi-genre author. And I actually put the multi-genre because I've tried reading a book that's just one thing, like
mm-hmm.
just romance, just mystery. And to me, there's been some good ones, but to me, life isn't like that. Life isn't just one thing.
It's not Hallmark.
Exactly. Oh my God. And don't get me wrong, because I do be having my Hallmark marathons,
mm-hmm.
but basically it's the same story.
Hallmark has the same story in the same principles for like 4 or 5 different ideas, and
right.
have recycled those 4 or 5 different ideas
over and over again with different
movies. Yeah. And I actually have wrote Hallmark, the Crown Network, going, okay, I'm so bored with your Christmas things this year. I can't even watch it because it's the same storyline for the past 4 years.
Exactly.
Different people.
But I guess I'm just, I do. I binge watch
mm-hmm.
Hallmark around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
I just do because I don't know, maybe I'm just happy that way. I don't know. And
I do the same thing.
I binge watch Lifetime on the weekends if I'm not writing.
Mm-hmm.
The movies. I don't like the reality shows. And it's like something.
Oh, your screen went blank.
Oh, I forgot to silence my calls. Send the voicemail. There you go. I'm getting calls, But yeah, and then ID channel. I just let that run.
Well, I have IMBD TV, so I'm letting Dr. Quinn just play in the background while I'm doing my work today.
I've never seen that. My sister loves that, and she's always trying to get me to watch it.
Oh, it's free.
And it's like, and that I know, because she's very religious, so everything she watches is like G.
Mm-hmm.
So she's always been trying to get me to watch Little House on the Prairie,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Medicine Woman,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Oh, what's that other one? Anna Green Gables. And I'm like,
well, I can't do Anna Green Gables. I never got into that one. Dr. Quinn, I like because it's just something I can have background noise to, and I don't have to worry about all the actiony stuff and all this other stuff. Now, if I'm actually sitting down to watch TV, which is very, very seldom, now I'm going to put an action something on.
I love the action.
Yeah, but we are almost out of time. So where can our listeners and our viewers find you?
You can find my books on Amazon, of course, Barnes and Noble. Google Play. I think I was on iTunes. I'm not sure if I still am. Kindle, Audible. I have 6 books that are Audible. I keep trying different formats, and I do the Vella little short stories.
Yes,
I do that too on Amazon. But they're always suspenseful. Yeah, I like the romance. My books always have romance in them, but there's always some mystery to solve, and there's always action. There's always somebody getting messed up. Except for my children's series. I have a children's series called the Learn With Me series.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for like preschool to 3rd grade.
Okay. Yeah, you can't really get them messed up in there.
Yeah, can't be blowing up stuff.
Yeah, you can't do that in children's books. I mean, I have a couple that are out for between 5th grade and 8th grade. Mm. You really can't get into too much detail.
Right. Yeah. No.
But it was so good having this conversation with you.
Yes, and I learned something from you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That, like I said, there's sometimes it's just sitting here and talking to an author about their book, and sometimes I go into teaching mode because I have to share the information I have to help authors get their name out.
Are you on Twitter and Instagram or any of that?
I am on all social media platforms.
Okay, do you use your real name?
M.L.Ruscsak.
Okay, I'm gonna look at because I have them all too.
Yes,
so I'm gonna add you.
We will keep in touch, and for our viewers and our listeners, happy reading.